Good afternoon. Hello, hello. Great to see everyone. If you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up on the monitor. I don't like to start until we know. Awesome. See, that's how I get thumbs up from everybody. If I'm ever feeling bad about myself, I just have them give me a thumbs up. All right. If you have questions, on the bottom of your screen, there's a little button with a cloud that says chat. You can click on the chat. I'm going to type in the word hello on chat right now, and that will, you'll see that. If you don't see that, make sure you pull the chat up in case there's something, if you have a question there. Perfect. Hi, Miss Judy. So if you have something, you're welcome to keep the chat going. If you don't want to ask something when we open it up for questions, you can do it via chat. Keep in mind this is being recorded. So Dr. Wireman, please don't ask about that rash you were talking to me about earlier, because this is recorded and then everybody would see that later. And so we don't want to embarrass anybody and we want to protect health information. Just kidding on that, of course. However, if you have questions like, I have a friend with multiple sclerosis and I've heard blood flow would help with that. Those are the kind of questions we want you to ask on these. These are always available on our Facebook page the afternoon of the Full Potential Weekly Live coaching calls. And so you can always view those on there later. But the advantage to being here live is that you can ask questions and we want to make sure that you get your questions answered. Once I'm done going through the information, I'll give you an opportunity to unmute yourself. And if you have questions, you would raise your digital hand by clicking on that participants button on the bottom of the screen. And then you'll see a button there that says raise hand. So before we get started, I just want to, if you're new to the weekly coaching calls, I'd like you just to raise your hand, your digital hand, so that we can make sure that works for you. Make sure that you find that. It would just be under participants, and then you would raise your digital hand. So if I see that, that's how I know to call on you for questions. Okay, so all right, Mr. Dorney, I see your hand there. That's perfect. So I'm going to lower your hand. Great job. And then if we have questions when it's time to open it up, we'll do that. So this is one of my favorite topics where I'm talking about the advantage of blood flow. Now, full disclosure, when we talk about blood flow, one of the reasons is to give you a full benefit of what's going on or things that we've known about or trained about. Today, I'm going to be talking about a product that is available for sale. And the reason I'm doing that today, it was not our originally scheduled topic, but the company that manufactures this medical device has a sale running, and this is the last Full Potential Weekly Coaching live call before that sale ends. And so I thought we always want to do things in your best interest, and so that's why I bumped up the topic. So what happens in our bodies if we completely cut off blood flow to an area? Completely cut it off. Think rubber band on the finger for a long period of time. If you want to answer out loud, you can raise your physical hand. If you want to just put in the chat what happens. But what happens if we cut off blood flow completely? Ms. Cheryl, I saw your physical hand go up, so go ahead and unmute yourself. And what happens?
It dies, necrosis sets in. And
exactly right. Yeah, 100%. Free puppy for you. That was 100% correct. So yes, she's right. If we cut off blood supply completely to an area, it dies. We know that to be true. We don't typically have areas in our body that are completely cut off because we would know that. But what happens as we age is that our blood vessels become less pliable. They become less flexible, and the tighter and more rigid the tube gets, the harder it is for thick liquid to go through that tube. What's more is if the thick liquid that carries oxygen and nutrients to our cells and removes waste from our cells can't get there or from there, bad things happen. And so that's what I want to talk about as a general overall health idea, because our whole point is that people we interact with will realize and express your full God-given potential. Not close, not really good, not kind of good, but full potential. So, blood carries oxygen to our cells. If we don't have enough oxygen in our brain, we're sleepy, we're foggy, we're not focused. If we don't have enough oxygen to our heart, eventually we can have a heart attack. If we don't have enough oxygen to any part of our body, it's not functioning the way it needs to. If we don't have enough nutrients to the cells, they're not functioning how they need to. And here, I actually think this is a larger factor. If we don't get waste out of an area, we have inflammation, stagnation, and toxicity. So what would happen if your kitchen, if you left your garbage in your kitchen for 90 days? You never took the stuff off the counter and put it in the garbage can, and you never took the garbage bags out. You just let everything stay exactly where it was. Think about what would happen to the look of your kitchen, to the smell of your kitchen, now to the smell of your entire house, now to the feel of the area, because now there are flies and maggots and ants and whatever else wants to come eat on that trash. That would be disgusting, right? So it's not quite that bad in our body, because as long as we're alive, there's a detoxification and purification process that's happening through the blood and lymph. But is it working the way it needs to? Well, that's questionable. Some ways you would know if it's not working the way it needs to would be if you're lethargic, if you have brain fog, if you're not sleeping properly, if energy levels are low. It also, when waste isn't being removed, it also leads to high levels of toxicity, which leads to increased chronic inflammatory conditions. We see really, really strong connections in things like multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, where there's a large chronic inflammatory process. So the question is, do we wait until the tooth hurts to go to the dentist? Or is it better, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of treatment? Like, is there something that we should do along the way? Well, of course, our philosophy is do it before it's messed up. Raise your physical hand if you've heard of hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Okay, excellent. Why would somebody want hyperbaric oxygen therapy? If you have, it's a small enough group. If you have an answer to that, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and just let us know why somebody would seek out hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Any ideas on that? If it's not letting you, if you have an answer to that, go ahead and raise your physical hand, and then I can. Oh, Miss Judy, go ahead. It looks like it let you.
Well, I've never heard of it, but it obviously takes care of the inflammatory problem, or it helps to keep it from happening.
Right. So hyperbaric oxygen, so oxygen is a gas. It moves from an area of high pressure to lower pressure. Okay. Like think pressure cooker, the pressure wants out, right? So what they do with hyperbaric oxygen is they put you in a chamber, they increase the pressure outside your body, and then the oxygen floods from outside to inside. Sounds good, right? Oxygen is a good thing. Things that can't exist as well in highly oxygenated states are things like inflammation, things like cancer, things like toxicities. Those oxygen purifies, clears, cleans. It's a really, really good thing. Well, hyperbaric oxygen increases tissue oxygenation by 7 times. So that's very, very positive. Kids on the autism spectrum, people with Alzheimer's, dementia, these are really good things. People will go to hyperbaric oxygen for that. People with ADHD, sensory issues can go have hyperbaric oxygen, and it's really helpful. The device that we use in the office, that I use personally at home, that we talk about a lot, some of you have it in your care plans, is called a BEMER. And it's a bioenergetic device that uses a pulse electromagnetic frequency as a carrier signal to get the blood to move better through your body. So here's how it works. This is an example of a capillary. Now, there are lots of pulse electromagnetic frequency devices that will work on large blood vessels. That is not unique. Those range from $1,500 to $40,000. You can get those all over the world, and they work really well. But they work on large vessels. where the exchange of oxygen, nutrients, and waste occurs is not in the large vessels, though. It's in the capillary beds. So it goes big vessel, smaller vessel, smaller vessel, smaller vessel, tiny vessel. Those are the capillaries, and they're so thin, that's where the oxygen and nutrient exchange happen. Well, the better blood flow you get through that area, the better oxygen and nutrient delivery you're going to get, and the better waste removal you're going to get. It's brilliant. This is what a capillary bed looks like with the red blood cells going through it. And we have videos, we have bigger presentations for this, but I think this will do the trick. This is what the number of small red blood cells look like going through the vessel. This is with the BEMER signal hitting the capillary bed. It increases oxygen reuptake by 30 times, 30 times. Now, some people say, well, for $6,000, I could go get a session, like a group of hyperbaric oxygen therapy sessions, and then I'll be done. Okay, but that's $6,000, and it only lasts as long as you're doing it. And that's like hiring somebody to do your homework for you. Do you get a good grade on the homework? Absolutely. What happens when it's time for the test? Oops, I don't really know how to do the work. So now, instead of doing the homework for me, is there a way you can tutor me? Flooding the body with oxygen from the outside in will help the body. But what will help the body more is if we make it more oxygen efficient from the inside out. And that is the difference between a medical device like the BEMER and something like hyperbaric oxygen. So what that looks like is it's a small mat that you lie on, the signal goes into the body, and it causes a smooth muscle contraction at the beginning and end of those capillary beds, and it helps the blood flow through there much more efficiently, reduces the risk of blood clot, which could be fatal, and reduces localized blood flow, increases localized blood flow, which reduces inflammation. The reason I'm bringing it up now is because the device is normally $6,000. They're running a special on it right now for $3,990. I have no idea why they're doing that. I think it's because through COVID, people are realizing there's stuff I've got to be able to do at home. If bad stuff happens again and I can't get out to a doctor's office, or I can't do things, I have to take a break from the things that are helping me with my care, I need something to do at home. Now, we've been saying that for years, but nobody believed that, or few people believed that, until, excuse my language, but the crap hit the fan. And then people said, oh my gosh, we really can't go. We are literally quarantined. We are locked up. We can't go places. This is ridiculous. Well, your care shouldn't stop at that point, is what we believe. So I think that's part of it. And in addition to them lowering the price temporarily to $3,990, they're including a backpack and a battery pack, which I've never, ever, ever seen them do. So it's remarkable. I want to let you guys know that. It's more like a public service announcement where I want you to know that, because that expires on July 15th. So if you're interested, we should talk about it. If you're not, no big deal, totally cool. But we want you to know that, because we don't want the time to run out and then you say, oh man, I had no idea. You can use flex spending or health savings account dollars on that. You can also use care credit if you need to do that. But there are definitely options, and we can help you with those. So I'm going to open it up for questions here in a minute. If Dr. Wireman and Dr. Durand, if you have anything to add, please unmute yourselves and do so. If not, no worries. Also, something really cool, we're excited. Next week, Dr. Durand is going to be hosting the Full Potential Weekly Live Coaching session. So you'll be able to have him run that next week, and he's pretty cool. So docs, if you have anything you want to add, please do. You can unmute yourselves and add. While they're doing that, if they are, you can, is that yours? Okay, thanks. While they're doing that, you can raise your digital hand if you have a question about it. I'd love to have a discussion if you have that. Also, if you don't have questions, but you want to talk off the call, if you say, hey, this is cool, or can it help with this, but I don't really want to talk on the call, just in the chat down low, just put I do, and I'll have somebody on my team follow up with you regarding that. All right, so doctors, if you don't have anything to add, I'm going to go ahead and take Miss Judy's question. And you
Did I
can.
do it right? I've never done
Nailed
that.
it. You nailed it.
Okay. Okay. Do you know what, Dr. Durand, what the topic will be next week?
She's already excited for you to do your topic. I think we had talked about stress. I don't know what you decided on. Go
Nope,
ahead.
it's a secret. I'm keeping it a secret
Oh.
because I'm still in the process of how I'm going to present the information. So I don't want to give it away and then have people think of it a different way than what I meant. Does that make sense at all? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm keeping it a secret for now. You'll know before the time, though. We'll make sure.
We'll let you know, because I know sometimes the topic determines whether you sign up for them or not.
Right,
So we'll make sure
right.
you know ahead of time. Absolutely.
And
But it's going to be great.
knowing that day is kind of late for
Sure.
planning. So, you know, if
I
you
gotta-
do it before that.
I got
It
to
won't be
show
that
you
late.
a note here from last week that I wrote after our conversation. It says, "Send topic for full potential weekly coaching out on Monday." I've got my Post-it note right here. This is my $1 zillion system.
So good. It's going to be great. I have a really good topic that you guys are going to love. I'm working hard on it because I want it to be something that really drills in some of the concepts we've already taught you, but in probably a way you haven't thought of them before. And it's also going to help you in how you talk about what we do, because if you remember, we're all a family here. We're all a team. It's not just about Dr. Lazar, myself, and Dr. Wireman. Our patients are also, in fact, one of the main reasons that other people come in here and get their lives changed. And if we can impart any knowledge to you that allows you to do that, to change someone's thinking, to interrupt their pattern to a better way of life, that's going to be worth it. And that's what we're going to do next week. So make sure you tune in.
Okay.
And we'll let you know. That's a great question. Michelle, do you have a question about the BEMER, about blood flow, circulation?
Yeah. Where do we go to set that up? Can I do it at my appointment on Monday, or where do you go?
If you want more information, we can send you some links and videos and research if you want some research for more information.
No, I was wondering how to buy it.
Oh, Devin on our team can connect you, can help you with that. She'll either help you by taking the information and passing it on to Carla, who's our rep, or she will just write to Carla and so somebody on my team will help you get it ordered either directly or through our rep, depending on if she's available.
So should I wait till Monday? Is that okay?
It is okay. I don't recommend it because the backpacks and batteries they're running out of supply on those, and once those are gone, they won't be included in the special. So
I'd rather lower the price and not get them.
Yeah, they won't. The price is as low as it will go.
Oh, okay.
But they're throwing in, like, the battery alone is $129 and the backpack is $250 or something like that. So they're not lowering the price, but they're including those right now.
Okay.
Yeah, you absolutely can wait till Monday. The price stays what it is until July 15th. But if they run out of backpacks and batteries, it won't be included is all.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah. What I can do, I can have somebody call you after this sometime. Would that work for you? Or
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I'll make a note. No problem.
Thank you.
That's a great question. Any other questions before I go on to Miss Cheryl? All right. All right, Miss Cheryl, it's all you. Make sure you unmute yourself. Oh, I may have just muted you on accident. I'm sorry.
Oh, got it. Okay.
There we go. I
So
try to do that to my kids, but it doesn't work.
I'm still learning how to use these things anyway. So regarding how the BEMER works, as opposed to the hyperbaric chamber, where I think you're getting more oxygen infused into your body, the BEMER, you're not necessarily getting more oxygen. It's just opening up the pathways so that the blood flow that's carrying the oxygen is moving through your body more. So like if you were to test for, oxygen saturation in your body, it wouldn't necessarily be more, would it? Or
It would, because so oxygen saturation levels they're going to, they're measuring how much oxygen is getting into the cells. That's what it is they need to do. So what I can do, it may take a minute and I don't want to like turn away and look fun, but I've got research articles where I can show you the oxygen saturation levels and stuff.
I see.
So it may be better if I send it to you because I don't want to
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
pull it up here. But here's the thing. So they measure tissue oxygenation saturation levels, and with the control device, they don't go up at all. With 5 other PEMF devices, they went up some. Pulse electromagnetic frequency devices, they went up some. But after the 36th hour of the BEMER signal, it was up 30 times. Like that chart. I should have had it on here. I'm sorry. It's insane. So whether you're infusing it or just getting what's there to the area better, think of it like this. Think of it like a traffic jam. And we need to get 1,000 cars into the parking lot. And the parking lot is the end organ or the end tissue. So they're measuring how many cars are in the parking lot would be how much oxygen is in that tissue. That's the metaphor. If we bring in a bunch of cars with a helicopter and just drop them into the parking lot, that would get cars into the parking lot. And that's positive. That's a good thing. But what if instead we added 12 lanes to Zeeb Road and said, okay, now everybody can get here. Once those lanes are open, now your heart is working better. So it's not just about getting oxygen to the tissue. That is very important. BEMER does it better than anything else, but it also, because it's increasing blood flow to an area, gets better nutrients to the tissue. Hyperbaric oxygen won't do that. It's also getting waste out of the cells, which is reducing inflammation. So increasing oxygen reduces inflammation, but so does waste removal. Getting carbon dioxide out also reduces inflammation. So now you're burning the candle at both ends, and there's nothing else on the market that does that.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a good question. I think I need to be more clear about how that works. Yes, Miss Judy?
Can you, I had it a second ago. Oh, Jesus, there's too much going on. I had it.
Okay.
What-
Smile, it will come back. You never lose a thought. It's just floating away right now. What I'm gonna do is this. Bear with me 1 second. It's not the most professional, but what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna pull up a video. I think that will help.
I remember. Yeah. What you said you're gonna send to Cheryl. Would you send that to me too?
Of course.
Thank you.
I sure will. I'm making notes. I have a good memory. It's just short.
Yeah, mine takes me from where I am to the note.
Right? I'm just pulling it up here. This is what I want. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So bear with me 1 second. That wasn't as painful as I thought it was going to be.
What's the phone at the bottom of the
That
screen?
means somebody called in on audio instead of being on their computer.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Okay, can everybody see my screen? There's a green video on there.
Yes.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this video. So the view on the left, this here, in fact, let me pause it. This is where blood is going from a larger vessel. Let me see. Okay, can you see my red pointer here?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where blood is coming from a large vessel turning onto Zeeb Road, okay, getting into a small vessel. Do you see here how the blood is not flowing well into that? It's kind of getting clogged up there. All right, so I'm gonna hit play. See how it's getting sluggish through here? The view on the right is while the BEMER signal is on. The BEMER is a patented signal and it keeps the blood moving. On the left, this is how you develop blood clots. Blood clots are bad. If they dislodge, they go to your heart, that kills you. They go to your lungs, that's pulmonary embolism, or they go to your brain, that's a stroke and could be permanent neurological damage or death. So we don't ever want sluggish blood flow here. If you're exercising, people say that gets the blood flowing. That's great, but it gets the blood flowing through the large vessels. If it can't, now, if this is open and clear, the blood will go through there. But if the blood can't get through there, that's when you start to develop blood clots. You're not getting proper oxygen and nutrients. This is not where the oxygen and nutrient exchange happened. It happens down here. With the BEMER signal, this is what keeps the blood flow. This is what keeps the blood flow moving. So I'm going to make that smaller. There we go. And then this talks about some of the products. And right here, I'll send you a list here. But this is what the blood vessel looks like. So from the artery, oxygenated blood is coming through. And this is the capillary. This is the tiny area. The oxygen comes through out of the capillary into the cells. The nutrients come through. And this is where now carbon dioxide and waste come back into the blood vessels to be carried back to be cleaned or disposed of, or to the lungs to get rid of carbon dioxide. So really, really, really important there. You can't feel your blood flow, but you know if it's not happening. People ask me all the time, can you tell, do you feel different when you're using the BEMER? My answer is I don't feel anything when I'm using the BEMER before, during, or after. I feel absolutely nothing when I'm using the BEMER. What I notice is when I'm not using the BEMER. We have one at the office, one at home. We actually have a second one. We have this Pro Go set on order because we want the backpack and the battery to go with it. And we want a second set. Anyway, when we don't use it, when my wife doesn't use it, she notices brain fog. She's more lethargic. She's not sleeping as well. Her hands and feet get colder. So we don't notice anything while we're on it or while we're using it. But if she travels and takes it and I travel and don't take it and I'm not using it, I feel digestive changes. I feel more sluggish. I don't feel as much energy. So I notice it when I'm not doing it, not necessarily when I am. So I want to honor your time. We've got another 2 minutes. If there are more questions, I'm available. If not, that's what we have for you. Go ahead.
Don't we have a way of doing that naturally? I mean, not hardly anybody has ever heard of a BEMER. Almost nobody's got any. Isn't there a way of just getting your blood flow working and doing what the BEMER does without having it? I mean,
not while we're aging. So the challenge is that the pliability of the blood vessels goes down as we age. They wear out. They don't get the support they need as we age. Because blood, so the heart pumps blood, boom, it goes through the blood vessels, but the further away it gets, the more it slows down. It'll speed up when it goes from a large to a small vessel, but eventually it starts to lose that velocity. So the body has little smooth muscle sections that will pump that blood through the capillary beds like this. When we're younger, we don't need that as much. When we're older, we need that more. Now, don't answer it live, but do your muscles work the same way now as they did when you were 18, right? So our smooth muscle stops working as well as it should. So that's why we need support for it. Valid question. We definitely need support for that. The reason you don't hear about it in the United States is because everything is regulated by the Food and Drug Administration. And if it doesn't sell drugs, it doesn't sell surgery, it's not going to be, it's not something that's going to be allowed. But the patents for the BEMER device go back 22 years. It's used in Europe all the time. It's used in countries that have socialized medicine. So if you were to be traveling in Hungary and you were to go into the hospital there and be admitted as an inpatient, you would be on the BEMER 3 times per week while you're in the hospital. And the
Wow.
government pays for the hospitals to have these units. And now think about that. If the government is paying for healthcare and they are owning these devices so people will use them, what that means is the only reason a country with socialized medicine would provide a product or service is if it saves them money on healthcare dollars. That is the only reason a country with socialized medicine would do that.
We'd never have it. Yeah.
I know. So I had been researching it for a while. My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 small cell lung cancer and was given a few months to live. They said there was a 0% chance she would be alive 1 year after her diagnosis. I immediately bought the BEMER. I decided it was time. We're going to see what happens because cancer and oxygen can't hang out together. It's like oil and water. We put her on the BEMER 3 times a week. She drove an hour each way for her adjustment and for BEMER. We put her on it 3 times a week, which is what you need for clinical improvement. Best practices are twice per day, but 3 times per week is what we put her on it. And by the time so she lived 3 years after the 1 year mark. So she was given a year to live, then she lived 3 years after that. By that time, 3 of her 4 lesions, 3 of the 4 areas of cancer were completely gone. And the 4th area they were saying was just fibrous tissue. It wasn't actually even cancer. And she died this year in January, but she fell and broke her hip, had surgery, had a blood clot, had a stroke, and then died after that. So it wasn't even from the cancer. So what I'm not here saying is, get a BEMER and you won't get cancer, or get a BEMER if you have cancer and it'll treat the cancer. I don't want to mislead, but the question I would ask is, which of us on this call wouldn't benefit from better blood flow, better oxygen, better nutrients, better waste removal, knowing that it makes our body less inflamed, less acidic? If carbon dioxide stays in the blood, then we have higher acidity. That leaves more room for cancer to grow. So it's just, I don't want you to think of this as a treatment for something. I want you to think of it as, hey, this will help me have better blood flow. Is that going to benefit me or not? That really is the way that I would suggest you looking at it. All right. So that's everything I have. If you have any questions at all, you can certainly email us. I will make sure you get that information, and we'll talk soon. I hope you have a great one. Dr. Durand will be running it next week. He's going to do great, and we'll see you then. Thanks for being on. Have a great day.
Thank you.